Hi everyone, trust you all are doing well. So we finished up creating our controller and our route in the previous episode. So what we're going to do in this one is we're going to create the request. So under app, HTTP controllers, pages controller, we're going to go to the comment controller right here. So what we're going to do now is we're going to create our own request in order to validate the data that's coming from the form. Right, so open up your terminal, right, and we're going to make a request. So it's PHP artisan make. And we're going to call this one request, and this will be basically a comment request like this. Then we press enter, right? So let's go to that comment request. So under app, HTTP, you will see we have a new folder right there called request. Inside that, we have our comment request right here, right? So let's start off with the first one, the authorize right here. You can just obviously just set it to true, okay? Now, the thing is, since we already do authentication, we're checking if the person is authenticated or not. We can actually, in here, we can do an auth. Just wanted to show for someone extra, you can do an auth check, okay? And we can do that. If the person is authenticated, we return true, else we return false. We can do it like that. And obviously, you need to make sure you import it at the top right there. All right, so let's quickly go down to the rules. Right here, there's a couple of things we need to add in here because we have the parent ID, we have the depth, and we have the body and a commentable ID and a commentable type. So let's start with the body. All right, so I'm just going to actually put some space between them so that you guys can easily see things. Okay, so just like that. I normally won't put it like this, but just for viewership is quite easier. Right, so let's go in the body field. I need that to be required, and I'm just going to do a max, and just comment like max of, let's say 200, let's say 250. Okay, totally up to you. The next one is the parent ID. All right, this field is only going to be available sometimes, or we can just say it's nullable. Okay, let's just do it like that, nullable. Okay. The next one is the depth, and this field can be nullable as well. Or you can do add sometimes, because it's sometimes there's going to be a value and sometimes it's just going to have a nullable value. But let's just make it nullable like this. Okay, let's move on. The next one is the commentable ID. Okay, let's do that one. These fields are going to be required because we need to know which post does this comment belong to. Okay, so we're just going to do like this one is going to be required. Right, and the next one will be the commentable type. So commentable type, and we're going to set that to be required. Okay, and it's going to be required in. And then we're just going to concatenate the post table. All right, so we just need to make sure we bring in the post model. All right, like that. All right, so there's a couple of extra things we need to add in here. Just underneath your rules, just create a couple of methods. The first one will be for the author. All right, and the author will be in the user. Just make sure you import the user as well. That one. All right, and then what we're going to do is we're going to return this user, okay, like this. Let's move on. The next one is for the body, so public function. It's the body, right? This is going to be a string, and we're going to return this body. All right, actually we need to get the body from the input fields. All right, so we can do it like this, body, okay. Or you can do the input. So let me just go here. Right, so we can do a get, or we can do an input like this. Okay, so I like the get, so that's quite works well for me. Right, so next one is the parent ID. So let's just quickly do that. Parent ID. All right, and this is going to be an optional, because it's going to have a nullable field. So it's not always going to have a value. Okay, so we want this to be an optional integer. Okay, so then we're just going to return this dot get parent ID like that. All right, let me just put a comma right there. All right, the next thing that we need in here is basically the depth. All right, so let's quickly do that. So public function, we just move this a little bit up so it's easier. All right, so this will be depth. Okay, so this will also be an optional integer because the value will sometimes be null. Okay, so I'm just going to do like that. Okay, and then we're just going to return this. Get, and then we just put in depth like this. All right, now the next thing that we're going to need is we need to basically, when we create a job, we need to determine the commentable. We need to know if it's a post or article or anything like that. So that's what we're going to need to do. So we're just going to do a public function, and this one will be the commentable. Okay, and we're going to set that to commentable. All right, just make sure we bring that in. Commentable, as you can see, it's imported right there. Now we're just going to return, let me just give us some room like this. We're just going to return this find commentable. We haven't created the method yet, but we're going to get to that in a second. So find a commentable. All right, we're going to pass in the ID. So the commentable, actually not this, commentable, and we just need to pass in the ID. Right, we need to do a get, put a comma right there, apostrophe actually, like this. Right, so we need to get the ID. So that's the first one, the get the ID. The second one is we need to get basically the type. So this get commentable like that. Right, so let me just close that off. So the thing is, we're going to create this method in a second. So find commentable, we pass in the ID and we pass in the type. So let's quickly create that method. So public function, and we're going to just say find commentable. All right, and this is going to have a couple of parameters. The first one will be the ID. The second one will be a string of type. Okay, so that we can easily find the commentable. So let me just. This one is screaming right now because it needs the commentable back, so that's good. Commentable, like that. Okay, so now it's quiet. Now this one is screaming. All right, so let's quickly fix him. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to create a switch statement. So switch, all right, we're going to pass in the type. So if the type is post, we're going to obviously go to the right place. So if the type is post, so let's put in the case. All right, and then we're just going to do post. Just make sure we bring in the post model, and then we just want to find the table. All right, and then we're going to add that in there. So basically what this looks like, so if you're not using the table, it just basically looks like this, posts, okay, with a comma right, with this double colon right there, okay, with a colon actually. All right, anyways, let's return post, okay, and then we just want to find the post with this ID that we're passing in right there. And if we don't find the post, okay, then we just want to do an abort. And we just want to say 4. We can obviously add a message, and I'm just going to say like the message can be post not found, comma, or exclamation mark, or whatever the case may be. Okay, so let me just do like that. All right, so that's kind of the commentable all finished. So let's quickly close it off. Let's go to our comment controller right here. And actually in our quest right here, we just want to do a comment request. We just want to bring in that request like this. All right. So what we're going to do in the next episode, I'm just going to go through over the views. So under resources, views, components, post, the one that we just copied down. There's a link in the description for these views right here. The comments one, the replies, and the reply. These views right here. I'm just going to go through them individually. Then after that, we're just going to create a job to actually handle that request. All right. So thank you guys for watching. If you like the video, please give it a like. If you don't, please give it a dislike. If you have any feedback, suggestions, questions, whatever's on your mind, please leave it me in the comment section, obviously related to coding. Please leave it for me in the comment section. I'll gladly respond to them. And thank you guys for watching, and see you guys in the next one. Adios.